Okay, today I really want your input. Yesterday when I was out and about, I had terrible cabin fever, so what do? You go to a local garden center. So I went to TLC yesterday and I found these gorgeous cyclamen. Now this is one of the perks of January and cooler weather because cyclamen are a plant. Cyclamen is a plant that you are not going to see very frequently at other times of year. So definitely it's one of the perks of January and February, especially around Valentine's Day, I think. So I bought 3 gorgeous 4 to 6 inch pots. I'm not sure exactly what size they are. And now I need to decide on a container. I want them to be in the front parlor window where they will get really bright light. And now I just need to decide which container I want to use. So I'm going to show all of them to you sequentially. You can pick your favorite one and then wait till the end and I'll show you which one I ultimately decided on. Secondly, I want to introduce you to this is one of the most fun things that has happened to me in a while. I don't know that it really happened to me, but it came into my life. And that is on CBS this morning. You may have seen the little excerpt on Pearl Mesta. Yes, she is the namesake to my neighborhood. She grew up, part of her growing up years was just around the corner from me. She just has a very, very interesting past, and now there is a new biography out about her. I can't wait to share this information with you and tell you where you can get this book and where you can find out more about her. So what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to give you 6 choices, 6 different vessels to choose from. Now that you've seen the cyclamen, I think you can kind of imagine what they will look like in each container. So what we're going to do is we're going to number or indicate each individual one. Then at the end, you're going to reply in the comments below which one you would choose. Honestly, I think they all are the right answer. It's just which one I decide to use and what kind of vibe I want to get in this very prominent place in the parlor right now. So in no particular order, I'm going to start out with number 1. You guys have seen this before. This is a copper pot, copper bucket that belonged to my second mom. It is old. I need to kind of clean it up a little bit before I use it. I just excavated it from the basement, and that would be my choice number 1.
Imagine the plant.
Imagine the plant, the white plant in here. So that would be my choice number 1. And by the way, the things that are positioned on this table right now will remain. So in terms of scale and in terms of balance, you guys can keep that in mind too. So this would be my choice number 1. Choice number 2 is just a footed bowl. This was made in Portugal. I got it at a thrift store. And by the way, most of these I will not be replanting the individual pots. I will be nestling them into whatever container I use. In this case, the con for this would be that I might have to take them out of those pots for them to be situated in here symmetrically. But this is my option number 2.
And we'll put these up again once they're all done.
Right. Okay, option number 3 would be this. Now obviously I would have to take out the amaryllis that are in here. I'm getting ready to do that anyway because they're really getting tall. They're starting to fall over. I'm going to cut these today. I'm going to put them in a shorter vase, in which case then I would have this ceramic blue and white container free. So this is option number 3. Option number 4, which also has some fingerprints on it and would need a little cleaning up.
This is my favorite.
This is Stuart's favorite. This is a pedestal bowl. I got it last year off of Amazon of all things. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Periodically I have seashells and things of that nature in it. I think I might have had white pumpkins in it around Halloween. I can't remember. But at any rate, I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's got a beautiful color, and that would be option number 4.
It's that reflection of the blue on the table that makes it really cool.
Okay, a little more rustic. This is option number 5. If I just wanted to use a basket, all I'd have to do is just put a plastic liner in there and position the pots in there accordingly. I really like the way this looks because it's so harmonious, I think, with the table. It gives a little bit more of a casual vibe, and I think it could be really beautiful. I got this also at a thrift store, but boy, it would have been pricey originally. I can tell just from the weave.
Really thick, yeah.
So that is number 5.
We're trucking.
We're trucking. And then lastly is number 6. This is a large glass bowl. This is the type of thing that you often find when you're thrifting. I have many, many different versions, size, and shapes of this same just plain glass vessel. This too needs a little bit of a cleanup, but this one I got at Bricks, and I think Jen maybe had gotten it thrifting, and then we filled it with amaryllis, with paper white narcissus over the holidays. It was really spectacular. It too would look beautiful with those white cyclamen in it. I would probably have to do something around the perimeter to hide the root ball or to hide the plastic pots, but this is my last alternative. So those are 6 different options. I want you to vote right now on which one is your favorite, and then I'm going to take them into my potting area so you can get a little bit better idea of what each would look like and which would make one or the other easier to express and to compose. Okay, so before we get started, here is a quick tip. So I've got these amaryllis right here, and they are just getting too floppy. So I'm going to use them as a cut flower, and I want to position them in this basket. Now, obviously, this basket is not waterproof. So I've got one of my plain glass containers, the baby version compared to the Big Daddy version over here. And I'm just going to position it in this basket. This is one tip. When you go thrifting and you've got a special basket that you really like to use, for some reason, I just love this little basket. Then you take your prized basket with you to the thrift store, and when you get on the glasses aisle, you see which one of these will fit inside this basket. Now, obviously, I could maybe use a plastic takeout container or something, but periodically you want something that's a little bit more formidable and that you could use inside or outside the basket. So, number 1, I've just got some cool water in here. Now I'm going to just be brave, and I'm going to clip these amaryllis. Now obviously I don't want a really long stem, so I'm going to hold it up here and decide about how long I want that stem to be. And probably I'm going to cut off a little bit more. Now any of you who have grown or have used amaryllis as a cut flower know that they will begin to flare and splay along the edge of the cut, and because of that it can diminish the lifespan of the flower. Now here's a tip that is new to me, but I just recently saw it and we're going to try it out. So this is my tip number 2. Above the cut you take some just plain tape. I've not done this before. I'm going to do 2 pieces just because. And supposedly, remember the thing, ladies, when we used to wear pantyhose and we'd get a run in our stocking and we would put nail polish on it to keep the run from, Stuart, you probably don't remember this, but you keep the run from stopping and from continuing up and down your leg. Okay, so right now I am going to I kind of like that one, just kind of hanging over the edge there. So my other ones, I'm going to cut shorter. Ooh, that's going to be pretty. I'm going to do the same thing here, just above the cut. And you've probably also seen that some people, when they use it as a cut flower, they will put water in the stem and then they will put a cotton ball right there to hold the water in. I am not going to do that. I'm just going to position this kind of accordingly.
We'll get you a tube to put the water in.
Yep, yep.
Use it.
Okay, then I've got this beautiful bud, so I'm going to cut it too. It should bloom. I'm going to not cut it too long. I'm going to do the same thing.
And the angle's important. Did you ever say that?
The angle is,
Cutting
I don't
at-
know
cutting
that
at
it's,
an angle, is
yeah,
that
I don't
important?
even know that it's necessarily important
Just add it.
for this purpose. It's just something that I do.
That was cool.
So I kind of like the way that looks. This one will fill out and spread in this void right here. Now sometimes I think what we could also do, sadly these don't have a lot of long leaves on them. If they did, I would probably put some of those leaves in there. But here's another tip that I learned one time from a wedding florist. And she said quite often when you're doing roses, when you're doing really any kind of flower arrangement, and you think that the arrangement doesn't have quite enough texture or quite enough dimension or interest to it, then sometimes you can use the stems themselves as a component in the flower arrangement. This particularly works, I notice, if for roses that might have really interesting stems and sometimes have some color to the stems. And it just kind of creates a little more dimension. And these, I might not care if they flared or they didn't flare. Now, if I wanted to add some more greenery to this, I definitely could, but I think I'm going to just wait for this bud to open, and I'm just going to use it like this. A simple, beautiful flower arrangement, and now I can liberate this cachepot. I can take these bulbs out. I will definitely save them to try to get them to regrow next year, but this then gives me an option for one of my cyclamen containers. Okay, I'm going to remove this. These are the Yopon holly branches that actually still look pretty good. They're starting to drop a few leaves. Pick those up. I'll discard that. But now I have this pretty little arrangement that is simple and I think will look pretty sweet there. I might even reposition this guy a little bit. And voila, almost voila, stand up and fly, right? There you go. I've got a nice little arrangement for this console table in my hallway. Okay, so I've got these beautiful white cyclamen. It's always, probably the hardest part is just deciding which color of cyclamen that you want when you've got so many beautiful options. But in this case, I decided on white. It seems so fresh for January. Now, Stuart, right here, let's put up a snapshot, this care card for cyclamen. What they do want are pretty cool temperatures, so that will be nice. It's going to be positioned by a window where it will stay cool. There's no direct heat blasting down upon it, and it will get very good light from that south facing window. So as I said, I am not going to take these out of their pots. I'm going to leave them in the pots, and then I'm going to just, when I need to water them, I will take them out, hydrate them, and then put them back in. So I have watered these, and by the way, look at how healthy these are. Not only do they have beautiful blooms, there's all sorts of beautiful buds as well. What that tells me is once I get this in position that I'm going to want to rotate it towards the window, just as I would a live plant, to ensure that those buds continue to open. So this would be option number one. This was the beautiful, beautiful copper kettle, and this will give you kind of an idea of what it would look like. Now this is an option that would not only be beautiful in that window, but my goodness, it would also be beautiful on the corner of my island. So if I get tired of it there, I can move it. So you can see that probably I would continue to fuss with this to get the best orientation possible. In some cases, I might need to push the pots down in there a little bit. I love the beauty of the handle. The handle I could have up or down, but this is option number 1. So what do you think, Stuart?
Got it.
It's beautiful, and also these plants fit in here perfectly, so that's something else to commend this option. When I was picking these out at the garden center, I kind of kept that in mind. That would determine, did I want 2, in which case if I knew for sure I wanted to put them in here, I'd probably just have bought 2, but I had an idea that I wanted a bigger vessel, so I went ahead and bought 3. So this is option number 1. So let's take these out now. And get this out of the way. So option number 1. Option number 2 is this beautiful made in Portugal thrift store find. Now this I think would be just, talk about simple elegance. It would be really, really beautiful. The downside of this is that I would have to take these out of the pots. I'd have to line this with plastic, and I'd have to do a lot more. Oh, let's just say it does look beautiful, doesn't it? A lot more torturing on these plants to get them in place. So that is something I think it's pretty glorious, however. And I love how statuesque it looks, and this would be beautiful with any kind of, I think, trailing plant, but the contrast of the green against the white and then the color echo of this white bloom with a white container, well, I think it's pretty magical. This may be worth the effort. Let's just see. Okay, so let's take a break here. Those are our top 2 options. Keep these in mind to determine your vote. The other thing that's important to our mutual selection is remember where it's going to be positioned, the context of that space, the aesthetic of that space, and kind of the vibe that I'm going for. Okay, now this was my 3rd option. This is really, it's really gorgeous, if I do say so myself. It was beautiful with these in it. But, and this is why I have my handy dandy mat that I love so much, Stuart. Well, we need to put a link to this. I probably need to get more than one of these. I probably need to get more than one. Okay, so there is my bulb number 1 I'm taking out. This is a Color Blends Amaryllis bulb. I believe this one, before I cut it, Stuart, we can put a picture here of where I ultimately placed it. This was a Dancing Queen, I believe. Now this is still a really good bulb. It is not mushy, and I will definitely save that to use again. For right now, I just want to give you an idea of what it will look if I won't be able to get 3, obviously, in here. Just 2. So the downside of that, I can only get 2. The positive is that gives me an extra one that I could position someplace else in the parlor. So I'm not going to take that dirt all the way out, but Stuart, can you get a pretty good idea of what that looks like?
Pots always hide pretty well.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really beautiful. And obviously this would be submerged lower, so you wouldn't see any of the green. I'd probably just take all of the soil out, and I think it could be really, really spectacular. So there you go. There is my next option. What was this? I believe this was number 3. Okay, so again, remember what it's going to look like in position. This would be beautiful here, beautiful there, but remember everything from scale to height, to dimension, and to the shape of the container. Let's move on to the next option. Now I believe, Stuart, if I'm messing up my sequence, I'll let you fix it for me. This is my next option, this beautiful, beautiful footed bowl. And I could position all of these, all 3 in here. Always making sure that when you put them in the container that you position them accordingly. I keep clanking. By the way, this was a thrift store find. It reminds me of a ring that my dad got my first mom many years ago that sadly got stolen. Okay, so I've got this beautiful container. I think it's great. Now you say, but Linda, you can see the pots in this, or the plastic in this, which obviously is not acceptable to me. So what I can do then is take some of this coir fiber, and by the way, in its original life, this was a hanging basket. And a hanging basket, over time, it just kind of decomposed. I'm sure the squirrels and the birds had their way with it to use a lot of this as nesting material.
Perfect nesting material.
Perfect nesting material, but it is also perfect floral material so that, see, I can stick it in there and it gives the impression almost that these two are growing out of a nest. It hides it, it warms it up, kind of insulates it, and all I have to do is just, all I have to do is just tuck this in and around the base, and I think that could be really, really beautiful. Obviously, I will keep zhuzhing it until it gets the effect that I want, and if I put this in place, then obviously I would continue to kind of mess with this coir until it looked exactly the way I wanted it to look. Okay, so that was your option number 4. Let's take a break here and we will go to 5 and 6. And remember, hold off to the end and I'll show you which one I ultimately decide to use. Also remember to subscribe, to hit that follow button, to give us a thumbs up, share it with someone who might be interested, and we'll be right back. And as long as we are trying to remember things, remember that our next Linda Vater Live is going to be on Sunday, February 1st. For members only, it will start at 11:30. We'll have a 30-minute kind of private conversation before it is open to the public at 2 o'clock. So please join us. If you're not sure how to become a member, then Stuart, right here, let's put up your little tech talk that shows exactly how you become a member. If you're still not sure, then just shoot us an email to support@lindavater.com. And also my newsletters will be resuming again very, very soon. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to www.lindavater.com and you can see where to subscribe on my website.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Tech Talk Tuesday with Stuart. Today we're going to talk memberships on YouTube and how to sign up to them. This is a little tricky. You'll have to do this from one of your internet apps on your phone, i.e. Google, Safari, that type of thing. So let's get started. And like it says, it's only kind of easy. But you just got to look for the join button. The join button lives by the subscribe button in many instances, but a couple others as well. This is the home page on a computer and or the Google app on your phone where you can get on the internet. And if you go just down to the right, there, you can join there as well. From that point on, the process is pretty simple. It just walks you through the steps of what level you want. There's only 2. We're going to have a future video coming up with more explanation on those levels and the perks that you get. But we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great day.
And hello, I'm back. Number 5. Number 5 is this great basket. I have used it for so many different arrangements, for so many different purposes, usually with live plants rather than just a floral arrangement. Now, ideally, what I would do is I would get some kind of plastic liner, just a plastic grocery bag, a dry cleaner sack or something like that, and I would line this. If this is ultimately the one that I choose, then definitely I will do that to protect the base of the basket. Now, this comes together just so easily.
It's classic.
And yeah, it's just pretty classic. These I would have to torture the pots a little bit to get them all to fit in here, but indeed I think they would. I will not do that until I'm decided that that's going to be my ultimate choice. But I think this is classic, and I think this is really, really beautiful. Now, if I wanted to make it even more impressive, I could elevate it somehow on some kind of plant stand or cake stand, something like that, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. Another option would be just to have 2 of them in here. I could then put in some of this raffia or that coir to fill in the gaps, and then I would have a 3rd that I could use someplace else in the parlor. So this then, yeah, it really does. And this would be my option number 5. And coming up, we will have option number 6. This beautiful, beautiful glass bowl. Now, this is going to create the same problem that the blue glass vessel is, and that's that it's transparent and you'd be able to see the plastic. So this is where I would just take a bunch of this coir. And yes, this is kind of a messy enterprise, but also this is why I put out this mat and why I have a dust buster. So, and again, if this is my final choice, I will spend more time zhuzhing this, but that creates kind of a liner so that you can't see the plastic pot. See, there is still life in these coir liners, even after they have been destroyed by Mother Nature and certain little pests. I can fit 3 in here. Again, I have to torture this a little bit, but when you make a purchase, kind of think about the pot size and what you'll be able to squeeze into one container versus another.
Funny thought to me, torturing plants.
Torturing plants. Well, you do have to torture them a little bit. You know, you have to torture roses to train them, but it's just kind of how it is. Now, again, I probably would wait till I got this into place to decide exactly where the coir needed to go, if I needed to add more. But this is pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it's even the whole scene with the bulbs next to it.
Yeah, and I really love the way that you can see the coir. That you can see the coir through the glass.
I kind of like this one a lot. Pretty cool.
I mean, that is pretty impressive. And see how quickly that came together? I mean, just really, yeah. So you could get 3, 4 to 5 inch plants anywhere, at your grocery store, anywhere, and then just shop your home for the appropriate vessel. So there you go. This is my option number 6. Number 6. You have 5 to choose from. Feel free to comment. Oh, I would use this one here, but if you were going to put it on your island, I would use that one. Or if you were going to use it in your home, which vessel would you pick based on the location in which you would create that still life or that vignette? So when we come back, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the book I am just absolutely obsessed with right now, and then I'll give you my final decision. Now, this is so fascinating to me. So I live in an area called Mesta Park. It is named after Pearl Mesta, who was a great hostess extraordinaire. She was born in 1889. She died March 16th, 1975. In Wikipedia, it says that she was an American socialite, political hostess, and United States ambassador to Luxembourg from 1949 to 53. She was a friend to many presidents, notably Truman, Eisenhower. I think she even knew Eisenhower when they were younger. Lyndon Johnson, Kennedy. So like I say, she was just quite an insider in the Washington social scene. Now, but she harkens to Oklahoma, which is why it's so fascinating. Stuart, right here, let's put a picture of some of her growing up years. It's interesting. Most of her younger growing up years were in Texas, but when she talks about where she grew up, she embraces Oklahoma. Smart woman. She embraces Oklahoma as where she comes from. And so, Stuart, right here, let's put up a picture of where she lived, which is a beautiful 2-story red brick home, literally 2 blocks
Right,
from,
right.
not even 2 blocks
Yeah.
from my house, within spitting distance. And we'll put up a picture right here. It's still a very handsome house. Now, she also, if you have been to Oklahoma City, or if you have checked out on my website where I shop, my home, and places that I like to shop and visit in Oklahoma City, Skirvin is listed as one of those places. If you stay at the Skirvin, it's a very, very old hotel. It's extremely grand. It was built by her father back in the early 1900s, even around the Depression. It's absolutely fabulous. And Stuart, on one of our field trips, we need to go down there and show people around. There's also lots of information there on Pearl Mesta. Now, a little bit more about her and why this is so timely. A new book is recently been written. It was just published in 2024. The Woman Who Knew Everyone, The Power of Pearl Mesta, Washington's most famous hostess. She is the inspiration for the expression, the hostess with the mostest. The hostess with the mostest, that dates back to something that Shirley Booth did, about which she was the original inspiration. She also was the inspiration for the Erling Berlin Broadway production, Call Me Madam. So that's all just so interesting. But recently, because of her ability to work across different, across the political divide with both Democrats and Republicans when they knew how to get along together, she is becoming much more a personality that is got some mainstream focus right now. So I am reading her book, and indeed it is so fascinating and it's so interesting to hear about personalities in my hometown and people who lived in this neighborhood and why she loved this area so much. And in fact, the park up the street is named Pearl Mesta, the Pearl Mesta Park. So if you come to Oklahoma City, if you're driving by the cottage or whatever, you definitely want to check out this area. It's also contiguous to an area called Heritage Hills of big mansions where all of the early pioneers and well-to-dos, the Oklahoma City elite live. So we're all kind of in this area, in this historic home area. So you definitely want to pick up this book. Now, I'm not going to lie, I just ordered it and it's a little bit pricey right now to get in hardcover. So you might want to check and see if you can check it out of your library, or when it comes into paperback, just get your hands on it, maybe in Audible, because I bet it's already in Audible, or on Kindle. Now, another reason I love this so much, Stuart, right here, because I've loaned out my copy, right here, let's put up that book I'm also so fascinated with on Bunny Mellon. And it is also written by... Yeah, Meryl Gordon. Many of you have read it. If you haven't read it, it is absolutely fascinating. I've done some discussion on it on TV at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art. It is just absolutely fascinating. And these women were kind of contemporaries in a way. Bunny Mellon was actually a little bit younger than she. But definitely you want to read those two books in tandem, because she has this same voice. It's gotten great reviews. It is so fun. It is so compelling. And it is just eminently interesting to me to know that this happened right here in my own neighborhood. Now, I want to give a shout out. Excuse me, my phone is blowing up. I want to give a shout out to a follower who last year came by the cottage. They visited, and then subsequently they sent me a very, very old newspaper article. I need to find it again, and I will locate it and show it to you. A very, very old newspaper article on Pearl Mesta and they sent it to me. They encased it in lucite and they sent it to me, and I believe it. I can't remember if it was on the anniversary of her death or something, but I will locate it and send it to you. So this is one of the things that I find it so fun to look for, that one piece of information. Somebody's texting me and saying, oh, they had a whole thing on her on CBS Morning News this past Sunday. Then I find out somebody else sends me a message saying that this book is now available, and I order it immediately. And then I find out that not only did she live in Mesta Park, but she lived at a house that I walk by almost every day. So it's just, yeah, these things are just so fun, and it does pay to look into the history of your neighborhood, no matter how old or how young. But I will say that these historical old neighborhoods, well, let's just say they are history rich, and it's really, really fun. When we come back, I'm going to show you my final selection. Okay, this is why you don't always want to be hard and fast in your thinking. Originally, I thought for sure, before I did this little test, that I would use this beautiful bowl.
So did I.
And so did Stuart. He saw it sitting in the window and he said, oh, I think this is going to be really my favorite, because it is beautiful, and I definitely will be using it in the very near future to do, I don't know, to do what. But I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I need a way to dramatically display it. But, drum roll please. What did I decide on? Well, here is what I ultimately decided on.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! And it was my final container, which I absolutely, it wasn't even in my final few until I started putting it together, and I saw how glorious it looked with this coir, and just how I think the scale of it will be perfect for that position. So, Stuart, let's bring it in there. Let's take it in there. I'm doing this in my office at my desk. I'm checking to see. I'm sure when I get it into position, I'm going to need a little bit more coir to hide some places.
It's pretty close to full, but it's
Yeah. Okay. So, Stuart, let's do it. Let's take it from there into here. And fortunately, by not having it planted in here, it also is really not as heavy as you would think.
Oh, the dirt adds a lot, huh?
Yeah, the dirt would add a lot. So see, this is really not that heavy. Okay, so come through here. Don't trip over anything, Stuart. Guess I should have cut. Oh, I need to do an outfit of the day. This is the shirt I caught that Kayla gave to me as a gift.
Oh, yeah. It's cool.
Okay. Wow. Tallest one I'll position in the back. Kind of stick that coir in there. And this is another example of using what you had, because I'm lazy and I don't like to go shopping, and I thought, well, what can I use to kind of hide those plastic pots? I looked around in the basement. I looked in all of my different little locations. This guy needs to stand up and fly right, and needs a little dusting too.
What a great way to be lazy.
Yeah, great way to be. Yeah, what a great way to be lazy.
Shop your house.
Yeah, shop your house. So I think it's pretty lovely. And I don't know. You guys let me know what you think, if you approve of my selection, if you would have done something different, if you like the coir stuffing to hide the exterior. Oh, yeah, you know, you could have used moss, but I didn't have any moss. The other thing about moss is, excuse me, it's not as easy to work with, to just shove down in there. It tends to kind of fall apart. And I don't really have any right now, and it would have been more expensive to buy. So
Wouldn't have been able to shop your house.
wouldn't have been able to shop my house, and that's what it's all about, is just using what we have, making something beautiful out of nothing or next to nothing, or what you have, and everything looks better with these gorgeous, beautiful white cyclamen.